This could be very intriguing.
I just need to wait for my game to load. Once it's done loading, I'll get jumped into the pit. Now we have 2 members of the flight, so it's not just a case of me just saying Mavi and Matsimus. I believe, Matsimus, you took the 3rd position, is that correct?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, you now identify as 3, because you are 3rd in the flight. Mavi, you identify as 2.
Copy, 2 in the pit.
Okay, great. Lead is joining. I should be on shortly. It's because I had to Alt-Tab in the middle of and run the live stream while it was going live. There we go. 1's in the pit.
Yeah, I'm in. 3's in the pit.
Great stuff. So, we're going to get you a little bit familiar with Air Force brevity because it's a little different from Army brevity. And Matsimus, as you know, brevity is fun and it keeps you off the radio any longer than you have to be. So, normally what you would say is if flight lead issues a command, if you understand it, you just give me your number. So, if I say, let's take the active, the correct chain of sequences from Mavi go 2, and then you go 3, and that's me saying you've understood. If you haven't understood it, you can either ask for clarification, or if I don't hear you sound off, I'm going to assume you didn't hear me. So lead's rolling. Go ahead and roll with us.
3.
2.
Congratulations, nice to see you're paying attention there, Mavi. Alright, so it's a left turn off to the taxiway. And we'll take the active. We'll take this as a 3-ship departure. In other words, I'll go in the center line, 2 on the left and 3 on the right, and it will look badass as hell.
1-1, Hayme Tower, you are cleared for
you guys can still hear me, right?
Yes, I can.
Right.
Cowboy 1-2, Hayme Tower, you are cleared for takeoff. Runway 20 right.
And the nice thing about going to take off the taxi is your plane's already good, and the AI never screws it up, apart from the odd occasion where it doesn't turn on things. But that's just the fun of BMS for you. So, your loadout today, you have 2 AIM-120s, which are radar-guided missiles. You have 2 AIM-9 X-rays, which are ridiculously clever heat-seeking missiles. And you have 12 times BDU-33 Bravos, which are smoke bombs. Like I said earlier, these are not operationally used in a conflict, they are training purpose bombs. And but they have the same characteristics and weapon profile as the Mark AA-2, which I'm sure you're both familiar with. So all the symbology and everything works the same. Lead's holding short on the brakes, look left, look right, all clear, go. I'd normally be a bit thorough about this, but because I made the TE, I happen to know we are the only 3 people on the planet here. Alright, lead's got active center, 2 for the left, 3 for the right.
3.
2.
And call set when ready.
Cowboy 1-3,
2
Hayme
set.
Tower, taxi clear of the runway.
Reset.
Okay, put the brakes on, run it up to 80%. And at my command, take the brakes off. 3, 2, 1, brakes. 3, 2, 1, full power, including afterburner. Nose wheel steering off. Takeoff for this will be about 180 knots, where Matsimus, you're going to feel us to be a fair bit heavier than the last time we flew, so just be gentle on the aft stick. And airborne.
Cowboy 1-1, Hayme
Gear
Tower,
up.
resume on navigation. Cowboy
Three
3-2,
airborne.
Hayme Tower,
And a
resume
left
on
check for
navigation.
steer 2. Matsimus, you remember how to select steer 2?
Cowboy 1-3, Hayme Tower, resume on navigation.
And that's the FCR just doing its thing. And data link's on, so I can see where you guys are. Leader is out the barn. Back to full military power.
2 trailing a bit. My trim was borked.
Oh, wow. Okay, no problem. Are you all good now?
Yeah, all good.
Sweet. Okay. So, we actually have weapons on this plane, which means we have a new procedure for you to learn as well, Matsimus. It's known as the fence in. Normally what you'll see in an online squadron is at some point in time during travel, we'll call to fence in. It's a good idea to follow this procedure in single player as well, because there are certain things about the AI you don't know yet. For example, they can see you better when you have your lights on.
Okay.
And that obviously is not good when you're attacking ground targets with guns. So, fortunately, this is a training environment and we don't have to worry too much about that. We're going to level off at 15,000 feet. We're going to do a left check for steer 3 now. And I'm going to take it somewhat gently, so we're not going to totally rigidly follow the flight profile. And I've got my flight path marker on about the 5-degree line there, just to make it a little bit easier for us to make the turn.
Jammer.
You're going to hear a lot of beeping and shouting, Matsimus. That's the RWR just saying, hey, there's a contact behind you. And it's actually, you'll notice it says 16 with an arrow above it. Funnily enough, that means that the RWR has detected the signature of an F-16. You'll probably see it, for example, on your plane to about the 7 o'clock position, which because you're detecting Mavi's radar. And we're leveling off at Angels 5. And before you ask me how do I stop it, you can either turn it off and risk flying around in a high threat environment without seeing anything, or you can learn to shut it out your brain. And we're going to level off. I'm a little higher than briefed actually, 16,000 feet, but we'll take that as good. Okay, so alright, Matsimus, time to test all those newfangled buttons that we've pressed. Look to your left and you'll see the FCR. It's currently doing some scans. Now,
Yep.
I want you to take your radar cursor and just push it around a bit. Up, down, left, right, it's all good. You'll see the little bars in the middle moving around. And you'll see those numbers change on the right side next to them. Now the FCR actually doesn't go all the way to the ground and all the way above us. It's got a cone. Like, well, Matsimus, did you ever play Metal Gear Solid before? The first one.
Not really. I played the first one, yeah.
Okay. Remember how on the little screen in the top left corner, Solid Snake had a little cone of vision for all the guards, and if you were inside that cone, you got detected, and if you were outside that cone, the guys were blind.
Yes.
Your F-16 is exactly the same. There's a cone about 60 degrees wide, an arc right in front of you, represented by this MFD, and also vertically above and below you. But it's really hard to model that in 3D on a 2D screen, so that's what those numbers are. 20. So, for example, for me, if I move the cursor right back to the center, I see the numbers 28 and 05. Your numbers might be slightly different. That's okay. That means
2806.
okay, that's fine. That means anything between 28,000 feet and 6,000 feet is within that area to be detected.
Okay.
If you push it out further, you'll see that the upper limit is higher and the lower limit starts going red and negative numbers.
Yes.
That means you can detect all the way to the ground, and actually you can detect 3,000 feet below the ground.
Okay.
So you can pretty much see all the way to the ground at that point. If you bring it closer, you'll see that the beam is narrower.
Okay.
So think of it like a cone going out from the center of your from the center of your nose. That kind of makes sense if you think about it. So one thing to be aware of is that as targets get closer and closer, you have to be a little bit more precise with where you aim the radar. Now, you can aim the radar. I'm not going to show you how to do that right now because you don't need to do it for air to ground. Just be aware that it's a possibility to tilt the radar up or down to compensate for this.
Okay.
Does that make sense so far?
Yes.
Great. Top left corner of the radar screen, you see a number probably saying 40.
Yep.
Take a guess what that means.
40k range.
40 miles.
40
Air Force
miles
pilots
range.
work in nautical miles.
Okay.
Good luck converting that back to metric. Right now, that means at the very top of the screen, the very 12 o'clock position of that screen is 40 miles away. The
Okay.
cursor's in the middle of the screen, so take a guess roughly how far away you're pointing your cursor right now.
20 k's.
20 miles. Yeah.
Or 20 miles, sorry.
Yep. If you push the cursor all the way to the top, it goes to 80. And you'll see your first piece of symbology, a little white triangle rather.
No triangles.
Have you got steer points 3 selected?
Negative.
Select steer point 3. And you'll see around about 48 miles away, you'll see a white
Seen,
triangle.
One white triangle. Seen.
That's a steer point. It's not a radar contact, it's not a bomber that you're going to go attack or anything like that. That's a steer point, and you'll see it's getting closer to the centre of the screen, right?
Okay.
It's right in the middle as well, which means we're pretty much lined up with the steer point, which is a good sign.
Mm-hmm.
And you can guesstimate from its position that it's a little over 40 miles away because we're looking at the 80-mile scope and it's just beyond the halfway mark.
Okay.
So that's a good way of... So when you see a contact on the radar, you can guesstimate just by looking at the radar how far away it is, and obviously once you lock it up you'll get more precise information. Let's push it out a little further. Let's keep going north on the FCR, and you'll see it says 160, and notice there's no more arrows above it.
Mm-hmm.
This is as far away as the FCR can detect. Now, this is an important thing to bear in mind when you think about other planes being able to detect your emissions. The FCR always broadcasts at 160 miles. You're just limiting your field of view, if you will. You're kind of zooming in on the area to get more precise information, or to limit the number of contacts you're looking through.
Okay.
So think about that right now. Your F-16 is currently able to be detected on the radar from 160 miles out away. People can see your radar. Okay. Let's. You want to bring it back in? There's a much easier way than messing around with the radar cursor. You see the little button to the left of the arrow pointing down the way, underneath the 160 marker.
Yes.
Go ahead and press that, and you'll go down to 80. Press it again, you'll go down to 40. Press it again, you go down to 20. Press it again, you go down to 10. Press it again, you go down to 5, which is the minimal resolution that you can play with. If anything's within 5 miles, I would probably stop using the FCR and start looking out the window.
Okay.
Now let's go back up to 40, and we'll just go back to that for now. Now look on the right hand side, you've got your HSD. Now that number on the left, what do you think that means?
Scope of range that we're looking around in
Yeah.
that area.
That outside circle, you've got 3 circles on your HSD. The top circle is 8 miles away.
Okay.
The middle circle is 4 miles away, and the inner ring is 2 miles away. Right.
Okay.
Go ahead and press the up arrow just to the left of the number 8, and you've changed it to 15 miles, 30, 60, 120, 240 miles, and so on. And you're basically just able to see more and more of the plan.
Roger.
We'll bring it down to 60 miles, and that'll give us an idea of what's coming up.
Okay, done that.
Now your HSD also has its own ability to move a cursor around. So press the DMS down key that you bound, and you'll see a white box over your HSD instead of over your radar.
DMS down. I gotta remember which button that was that I put down.
Yep. You had the button for lock, the button for unlock, and the other one.
Oh, I know which one you mean. So.
And if you've done it right, the MFD should have gone to the white. You should have a white box on your right hand MFD, and your left box should say not SOI. If it's not working,
as of yet.
if it doesn't work, if it hasn't worked instantaneously, it might not have been bound correctly, and it's something I was going to teach you about, but we can skip that. It's not drastically important.
Okay.
Okay. One thing you do need to be aware of is that how do we tell the radar to look at the ground instead of the air? Because it's capable of doing both.
Okay.
See on the upfront controller, you have a bank of six big buttons above the between the upfront controller and the heads-up display. COM1, COM2, IFF, list, AA, and AG.
Yep.
AA and AG are major master modes. They control the way the plane is set up for in the air and for looking at targets on the ground. AG, imaginatively enough, switches it to air-to-ground mode.
Okay.
And your FCR will change drastically.
Okay.
And what you'll see now is it's currently locked on steer 3, and steer 3 is coming up, so we're going to change to steer 4. And we're going to make a left turn for steer 4, by the way. Some things on your HUD have changed as well. Instead of saying nav, it says CCRP. And you don't have your diamond anymore. We're just going to turn left, and you'll see a box with a dot in the middle.
I'm not seeing most of the things you're saying, but that's okay.
Okay. Did you press the air to ground button?
Yeah, I'm on the edge ground button. I've got on my left a scanning radar with the same kind of radar scan bar with
Yeah.
the blue bar in the center.
You'll see a whole bunch of dots and a bit of static though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's the air to ground radar. So now the radar's in air to ground mode. It's scanning contacts. Every single one of those dots, that's a target. That could be a building, that could be a bridge, that could be a column of tanks. We don't know. We don't have enough detail yet. If you look up at the HUD, instead of having a little diamond for your steer point, you'll see a square with a dot in the middle of the screen that if you've pointed yourself at steer 4.
Don't know why I can't find steer 4 anymore.
Well, you're pointed towards it. I can tell because I'm looking at the HSD. You're in the right direction. Don't worry about it. It's no big deal. We're going to select steer point. We're not going to fly to it. We're not going to turn to it. But we're going to select steer 5. Now you'll notice that your cursor on the FCR shifted over to the left slightly. And it should be somewhere around about halfway up the screen on the FCR. Do you see that?
Negative. I can't get my steer point stuck at 7.
Okay. Press the return key on the on the upfront controller, just below the number 8. And if steer 7 is currently selected, press down until you get down to steer 5 again. Remember the
No, it's still only letting me stay on 7, and I've pressed return.
What does your DED readout to say? Does it say UHF, STPT?
Yeah, it says that.
Okay, you'll see a small set of arrows selected, up and down. Does it say STP and then up down arrow and then what, number 5, 6, 7, something like that?
Yes, it says STP and then 88.
88?
Yeah.
Okay. So go ahead and... Right, there's an easy way to do this. We're going to we're going to press RTN on the keyboard.
Okay.
Not the keyboard, sorry, the upfront controller. We're going to press number 4, STPT, on the upfront controller.
Yeah.
And I want you to press the number 5, and then press Enter on the number key on the keyboard, and then press Return.
Now.
On the what we just did is we manually went from channel 8 from steer point 88 to steer point 5.
Okay.
And you should see that on your FCR, left of the FCR, about 40 miles away.
Yes, I can.
Excellent.
It's It's like a cross.
There's a great big cross, and if you look very closely, you'll see there's there's a line of targets behind that.
Roger.
That's very hard to make out though. So we're going to press the button that's labelled Norm, and we're going to zoom in on that area, and it says EXP.
EXP.
So you see it says on the actual FCR MFD, on the center at the very top row of buttons it says Norm.
Roger.
Press it and it says EXP. We've expanded the radar over that target area.
Jammer.
Press it again. We've gone DBS1, which is Doppler beam sharpening. It's a technique that basically takes a little longer to scan, but it gets you more precision, and it lets you see things like the terrain around it, so you can see if it's a good idea to run in from north or south or whatever. Press DBS1 again, and we zoom in even hardcorer. This is maximum zoom for the radar, and you can just about pick out a line of contacts. So take your radar cursor and just gently position it over the biggest mass of that blob that you can find.
Okay, done.
Remember the button to lock? Press that. Your screen's gone black, and you'll have a big white dot in the center of a crosshair just off to the left of the FCR.
Okay.
What you've just done is you've selected the FCR. You've selected that target as the FCR, and if we turn to the left and keep turning to the left, you might have to turn left quite a bit harder.
Okay.
You're going to see eventually a box with a cross in it.
Mine's to the right though. I must have locked up the wrong thing.
Oh, okay. It might well be to the right now that we're leveled off. And that's letting you know, hey, there's a target that you've selected, but there's a problem. We didn't enable the bombs. So, left of the left-hand MFD, we've got the master arm switch. Do you see it?
Roger.
Go ahead and click that. Your HUD, look up, and your HUD has changed. You'll see a line, a vertical line, and I want you to place your flight path marker, turn and put the flight path marker right in the center of that target. You'll also see a horizontal line counting down.
Okay, so I'm banking hard right to try and do what you're telling me to do.
Yep, follow the line. You'll see a vertical line coming down to the flight path marker. I need you to hold down your pickle button. And what I've just done there is I've released a bomb using the radar to select the target. So the vertical line is the accurate position for your flight. Is an accurate position for your plane to fly through to do a level flight bombing.
Okay.
There is a horizontal line that kicks down from the top down to the bottom, and when the lines meet your flight path marker, your little circle with the upside down T.
Okay, I've got a big circle shining at me.
That's fine. Keep flying the carrots. What you need to do now is you need to hold down the pickle button, the button for weapon release.
Roger.
And you need to just gently adjust it so that your flight path marker is still on that horizontal line, and you'll see another horizontal line ticking down.
I've got no horizontal lines ticking down. I did have a circle, but...
Okay, just keep holding that button down. I'm going to make some turns away, but you just fly your own path. Keep following it, and keep flying the heading. Keep with the button held down. And you might be off target.
Yeah, I think I am.
That's fine. I'll figure out what it is. Just keep following the marker. We'll see where it's trying to tell you to drop the bombs.
Roger.
Because it can't be that far away if you've seen that circle.
Well, I just flew over. Is it a bridge?
You might have selected a bridge.
Okay.
That doesn't really matter. I mean, to be honest, what we're hitting isn't important as long as you know how to hit things first. We'll talk about being accurate in a moment.
Okay, so I'm gonna have to do a fly around here because I think I've gone over the target area that I've selected.
Did the vertical line shift position quite rapidly all of a sudden?
Yeah.
Yep, you've gone over. That's fine. We'll go around. I want you to select Steer 5 again.
Okay. Just give me a sec.
Just make sure it is selected.
Okay, so steer 5 is selected.
Okay, press the button on the left-hand FCR that says CZ.
CZ, CZ, CZ.
It'll say it's on the right-hand bank, fourth button on the right side of the MFD.
Seen, yeah, done.
That's zeroed out the cursor, and it's probably going to snap back to the center of steer 5.
Okay.
If it's worked, your fall line will be to your right.
Roger, it is right now.
Okay, follow the fall line.
Okay, now I'm kind of getting back in line with that line.
Yep, okay. Keep that fall line on your right in the middle of your flight path marker, that circle with the that circle in the center of your HUD, with the lines coming up and out of the sides.
I think it's because it's right below me that I'm struggling to try and line them up. Like
Okay.
I'm literally like circling it.
Yeah, you must be pretty close to it by now.
Okay, so there's a on my HUD. I'm looking at the ground in the distance. There's a square box with a dot in the middle. Is that where I'm?
That's the target designation box. So that is what you're aiming at. So
Roger.
I want you to just ignore that for the now and follow the fall line.
Roger.
That's that vertical line that we're talking about. Okay.
Roger. I'm lining up with it now.
Okay, keep that in line with that flight path marker I'm talking about, and you'll see a horizontal line going down that fall line eventually.
Roger.
Keep the weapon pickle button down, held down until you end up basically with it dropping the bomb. It will drop the bomb for you right on where you want it to land.
Okay.
And this is CCRP, it's level bombing. It's a little bit boring, but it's fairly accurate, and it's good if you don't want to do a dive bomb
Okay,
on something.
That horizontal line's coming across now.
Good, so just
And
keep
the
the
circle's gone. I'm holding down the pickle.
Yep.
It's now flashing the circle.
Good, that's good. That's just, this is a different cue, I'll explain it later, but just keep following it, keep yourself accurate, and keep holding down the pickle button. You'll see another horizontal line coming down.
Okay, yeah.
Follow it. When the horizontal flight marker ticks your your flight path marker,
Mhm.
you should get a weapon release. You'll hear a bump.
Nothing so far.
Is the fall line, is the horizontal line hit your flight path marker yet?
It did.
Just very briefly.
Yeah.
And is it now ticking back up again?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I've seen this before. I don't know if it's a glitch or if it's just because of a few things that it can be. I've seen this before. It can be a bit fussy. So we're going to do this a little bit. We're going to do this a little more old school. We're going to do some dive bombing because it's a lot more fun. Things happen
Okay.
quite quickly though. So remember that nose wheel steering button I got you to press?
Mhm.
Go ahead and press it.
Master arm.
His master arms
Got
turned.
master arm.
His master arms turned on. Yep.
Okay, I've done
Jammer.
that. Nose steering button's done. I've got
Okay.
the old school pickle button.
Yeah, you should
Old
be familiar with how this works. Now,
Yep.
fun fact. Your CCIP button, if you're level at the moment, will have a fall line, a horizontal line in the middle of it.
Mhm.
If you place the pipper on the target,
Mhm.
and you have that horizontal line there, you still need to hold down the pickle button until you get weapons on until the weapon releases.
Okay.
And basically, you then just follow the fault symbology I just showed you, and it'll do it. If you don't have that horizontal line there, your bomb will drop the moment you press the pickle button, and it will go right where you told it to in that circle.
Okay.
So, pick a point, and
Jammer.
go ahead and see if you can level a bomb off.
Roger.
And once again, during this whole process, you want to pickle it, you want to hold the button down, and basically trust in the system to drop the bomb on target for you. Just
Roger.
keep the flight path marker right centered on that fall line, and it should just pop off the rail like that.
Jammer.
Now I've just dropped one again,
Jammer.
pun intended, and my weapon is going to go sailing through the air and land somewhere in the middle of the target range.
Jammer.
Are you using U2? Or
I am using U2, Figmo. We're just in game at the moment, so do bear with us because we're both live streaming. Yeah, I can hear that altitude yelling at you, so if you are passing... There you go! Weapons off the rail. Now just gently pull back on the target, watch your G loading, make sure you don't go above 4 or 5 Gs if you can avoid it. And watch for the smoke from the bomb drop if you can. And tell me if it landed anywhere near where you expected it to.
Yes, it did.
Congratulations, you're a CCIP boss. Now do it. Now you've got 11 more bombs. Pick a target and have fun.
Sweet.
All right. Leads.
For that bridge again.
Yep.
Someone bombed that bridge. Did someone bomb that bridge? No.
Lead is in from the northeast. A game that I sometimes like to play with my cadets and nuggets rookies is I drop a smoke bomb and I get them to drop in the smoke bomb before the smoke runs out. 208 off to the north. Correction, to the east.
Caution.
Copy. I found a nice little power plant, I think.
Go for it, man. And yeah, that'll do for me. I'll take that as good. Right in the center of the in the center bullseye. May have ever so slightly over-G'd the aircraft, but that's okay. That's the crew chief's problem, not mine.
Caution. Caution.
Oh shit it. Caution, caution. Go away.
Jammer.
Alright, Matsimus, I'm going to link up with you and see what it is you're bombing.
I think I'm going for a factory right now, but I don't know if I'm actually hitting it or not.
Yeah, we'll find out in a moment.
There's smoke coming out of chimney, so...
Well, let's see if we can add a bit more. Now, see your altitude's at 6,000 feet. Just bear in mind, you want to give yourself a good amount of altitude to get the dive and get the weapon on target, so give yourself some more altitude if you need it. This plane's good for anywhere up to 35 to 40,000 feet. You may as well give yourself an extra 10. And fuel isn't too much of a problem for you at the moment, I don't think. It takes us about £2,000 to get home, so that's not a big deal. Alright, I'm watching for you now. That's 208. Whoa, lots away. 246 away. Man, you must have really hated that factory. So right, did they land where you wanted them to, or
Yeah.
where you expected them to at least?
Pretty much.
Good, good. I'm gonna get you a bit more practice with CCRP, I think, because that would be better if we could get that working the way it's intended. So go ahead and press that nose wheel steering button two more times. Once to take it out, once you'll see a mode called DTOS, which I'm not going to get into. Another mode called CCRP, and it'll take you back to the CCRP screen.
Okay.
We're going to wheel around back to steer 5, because that's going to be the currently selected steer point.
Jammer.
Press the button labelled STP, which is in the bottom right corner, just below the CZ button on your FCR again. And that should reset it back to the highlighted steer point you've got, which should still be steer 5 if I remember rightly.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. So, just a quick explanation of some of the symbology you're going to be seeing. You have your fall line, which is the vertical line. And you want your fall line to be right in the middle of that flight path marker, the circle with the upside down T on it.
Roger, seen.
Okay, and you want to keep that there throughout this entire engagement. Okay,
Jammer.
and you have to be as spot on as you can. Fly the most level, straight flight you ever flew. Okay. You will see on the top right corner a little arrow or chevron pointing down to a number that probably says 10 or maybe 20.
Negative. In the HUD?
In the HUD, yes.
I should have a what, sorry?
Right, so you see where your altimeter is?
I'm starting to see something come into view now.
Yeah,
The
you
little
see
chevrons just come in.
Yep, that's ticking down to tell you you are this distance away. It'll probably say B and then a number at the bottom right corner. Do you see that?
Yes, B17.2.
Okay, so as that number climbs down, it'll eventually, you'll see it'll go below the 10 with the arrow with the line underneath it.
I see, yeah.
Okay, so
is my engagement range that bracket at the very bottom below,
right
way
on.
below the 10?
Right on. And you'll probably find your weapon starts coming off the rail somewhere about the middle of that. Now, if you hold the pickle button down when you start seeing that fall line coming down, you then keep making your adjustments keep your plane as level as you can during these adjustments, small inputs. And as long as you have the pickle button held down and the two lines meet perfectly with your flight path marker, then a bomb should come off the rail. And it'll go right where you have that box selected, which is the center of tier 5, which is pretty much the middle of the range. It's not going to be as precise because we haven't selected a target. That's for stuff to do with the targeting pod later, which can be just as much fun. But if I can get you doing somewhat alright with these kind of bombs, you're good. Is that your bombs coming off the rail?
Neg, that was
so.
2.
Well, I see 3 key mics, so one of them must come off. 3 bombs, cool.
Okay, I'm close to my bar that says I can drop.
Okay, keep that pickle button held down. Keep the center fall line right in the middle of your flight path marker, and keep the wings as level as you can. Boom! There you go.
Jammer.
You got it.
Bombs away.
And that is CCRP. Now,
Beautiful.
think to yourself why it would be a bad idea to dive down on an enemy target with CCIP.
They're gonna blast me out of the sky.
If it's defended well, yeah, absolutely. Think of another reason. Well, are you going to be able to see the target at 20,000 feet if there's a cloud ceiling at 5,000?
No, that's true.
Okay,
Let
let the radar do the work. Right on. That's the 2 major reasons you'll use CCRP. What if you want to verify the target is indeed hostile? Or what if you want to make sure that this weapon is going right where you want it to go and you only have dumb bombs? Well, that's where CCIP comes in, right? If you can see the target and you know you are not going to get destroyed at the sky by a Shilka or a SAM system, it's probably a fairly smart idea to just to drop dive bombs. If there's man pads, stingers, Strelas, things like that, they have a range of about 14,000 feet. So you want to stay above 14,000 feet, which means you've got to come out of the dive really early, or you've got to do CCRP. So that's why you have the 2 options, because they're both useful in their own right, but like everything else, it's knowing how to use it, right?
Right.
So take practice with each one and just have fun.
Jammer.
The other thing to bear in mind is it's a good idea if you're at a dive bomb, especially a steep one, to take the throttle idle, because you don't want to be going ridiculously fast, especially carrying as much ordnance as we currently have on us.
Roger.
That's a lot of weight to be throwing around at 500 knots in 8 Gs.
And then the stress on your airframe will prevent the bombs coming off the rails then.
Yes, on the real bombs, you can break the fuses, you can destroy the electrical connectors from overGing the airframe nowadays, so you can indeed end up with hung stores, and then you have to return home and try to land with unexploded ordnance on the side of your plane.
Yeah.
This is not generally considered a good time.
Okay, I'm gonna try and do another run.
Yep, go ahead. Do you know how many bombs you've got left, or would you like me to tell you how to find out?
I got 4 because I'm looking.
You're looking at the stores management system, the SMS. Yep, good.
No, I'm looking on the outside.
Oh,
Where
that's,
do I look on the inside?
there on your MFD. You should see the option that says SMS.
Yep.
Press that button. You'll see a whole bunch of you'll see a whole bunch of stuff. It'll say, but on the right side it'll say BD33, a number to the left of it, and it'll say ready.
Okay, wait one. So click on the SMS, and then it shows a load of numbers or a load of other stuff, and then which do I press?
Well, on the right side, you don't have to press buttons. You just have to look.
Okay.
You see the button that says BD33
Negative. There's no BD33.
on the SMS page.
Oh yes, there we go.
Okay.
It says 4.
So you've got 4 left. I want you to save 2, please. So if you want to do some bombs, just leave yourself 2. Because I'm going to show you something real cool that you can do with either. In fact, actually, are you on an attack right now?
I've lost sight of target, so I'm gonna have to.
Okay, go ahead and abort that target right then. So we've got 4. There are 2 things I can show you to do with your bombs that allow you to drop lots of bombs without having to press the pickle button a bajillion times. We're going to show you how to do ripple firing or pairs dropping, and you're going to do one of each. So what I want you to do is I want you to see the button that says 1 SGL on that SMS page.
Wait one.
Go ahead and get yourself stable and level. Yep. Anywhere is good. Put yourself in a circle if it helps. See the button on the SMS page that says SGL, and it'll probably have the number 1 next to it.
Roger.
Press that. You'll notice it says as 1 pair.
Roger.
So take a lucky guess what's going to happen the next time you press the pickle button once.
It's gonna drop 2 at a time.
That's the way. Alright. So you can now drop 2 bombs on the same target area, and this is good if it's a pretty heavy duty thing. So if you've got a building and you've only got a pair of Mark 82s, let's put 2 of them down, right?
Okay.
Or if it's a fairly tightly packed cluster of infantry, you can put 2 bombs down, and the fact that your wings are spread a couple of feet apart will allow them to drift a little and spread out a little.
Okay.
So you put yourself on the target. You go ahead and take a couple of bombs off the rail.
Just going to do a quick check on my streamers right now. Anyone who's still watching the stream, can you just let me know how good the quality of the stream is? Because as of right now, as I'm watching it, is really bad.
Big Mo, are you in the channel still? I guess that's a no. I was going to instruct Figmo to go view your channel. Figmo, go do admin things.
Because it says there's 5 people watching. I'm just curious how good the quality is. If it's juddery or blurry or nasty.
I have no idea how many people are watching my stream right now. I'm not even looking.
It's looking. So Cheesy Block says it's in 720 right now, so I guess it's looking pretty good. So that's good.
720 on the BMS is epic balls. It's amazing.
Well, because I'm watching it myself, and I'm not too sure why, but it's like completely juddery. Like it just looks.
Well, that's probably because your computer is trying to do the work of displaying a video and play a game at the same time. So that's more CPU related than bandwidth related, I would think.
Justin, true that.
Mavi's doing a great job sticking with my wing there.
Okay.
I am actually getting a little worried that during one of my overgene maneuvers I may have hung my stores because I've got 6 white bombs on the rail and none of them are coming off right now. Ghost Dog, teaching you wrong since 1986. Or 2016 as the case may be. Oh come on, that was spot on. Yeah, I may have damaged my weapons.
Woohoo! Double pair just gone.
All right,
Nice.
that's the way to go. Now you should have 2 left. Is that right?
Roger that.
Okay, now you get to really show off. Go ahead and press the button that says pair and change it back to singles. Once you're level and stable. Now the button that says RP 1. Go ahead and change that to press that. And it says
pulses.
see the button that says number 2. press that and press enter.
Enter. Okay.
Okay, some quick explanation of what we've just done there. You've now set it to drop 2 bombs, but not in pairs. They're going to drop at an interval. See the button? See the number that says 175 FT?
Yep.
Guess what that is?
Is that airburst?
No, that's the interval between the 2 drops.
Oh, okay.
So when you press pickle button next, it will automatically drop 2 bombs 175 feet apart from each other.
Wow.
And you can bring that you can make that range anywhere from 1 feet spacing to 999. And my bombs are pushed. Great.
Jammer.
So I'm just going to get rid of those. Bye bye. Never liked them much anyway.
Okay, so I'm going to come for a nice wide sweep so I got a good line up for the target.
Yep. Pick a target, or pick something with, preferably something where you could imagine a use for dropping 2 bombs with a spacing. Say a column or a line of targets.
Roger.
And that's exactly what it's for. You know, if you want to drop a stick of bombs with a certain spacing, you can do that. And you only have to press the button once and just make sure that you let the symbology do the rest for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, the best approach for this target, if you wanted to do a string of bombs, is probably north to south or south to north, because the terrain obviously helps you for that.
For sure.
So, I see where you're coming in from. That looks good. Go ahead and turn in and pick a target on the range. And frag it.
Drop it like it's hot.
It'll be much hotter down there, don't worry.
Jammer.
Definitely need a new joystick. This one's not cutting the mustard.
Don't worry about it.
Definitely.
Don't worry, work with the tools you've got, not with the tools you want.
Exactly. Okay, so I'm nicely lined up.
Sweet. Go ahead
Just waiting
and
for that.
yeah, go ahead and pick a method. CCIP, CCRP, whatever you think's going to work best for you. There's no ruling on this.
One away.
And did they both come off the rail?
Yeah,
Okay.
No, haven't come off the rail yet.
Altitude.
Must have been a warning.
Yeah, you get your first one with a circle round it,
Mm-hmm.
and then if you're are you in CCRP mode? Yeah.
Roger.
Yeah, okay, so the first one is a circle mode. That circle is a cue for you to pull up 45 degrees if you want to throw the bombs at the target. There you go!
Huzzah!
Beautiful.
And
I am bingo for ground munitions right now.
You are Winchester then, not bingo.
Winchester. What's bing? That's fuel, right?
Bingo is I am out of fuel, I am the fuck out of here.
Right.
There's another fuel call which you sometimes will hear called Joker, which means I have just enough fuel to complete the mission, and that's all.
Roger. Okay.
2 bombs on target.
Kind of close. I don't know exactly where on my marker there I was actually lasing up, or what area of the ground I was trying to get.
Yeah, the thing is that this is the thing with CCRP, is it's only as accurate as either the steer point that you've selected, or the FCR contact you've locked up, or later on when you get it, the targeting pod, which makes it pretty hellishly accurate actually. And now for your last little bit of fun, we're going to clean the bird up a little bit, because I am going to guess if you look at your fuel gauge, it's below 7,200 pounds.
Let's have a look here. I've got a master caution alarm.
That's okay, I know why. I'll explain in a moment.
Avionics fault.
I wasn't expecting that, but that's possible too.
Okay, my fuel is at 2,200.
Okay, that's fine. We're going to start thinking about getting home soon anyway. So what's going to happen next is I want you to jettison all of the crap off the side of your plane to make it a little lighter and a little easier for you. To that effect, there is a button just left. You remember the green lights to show you if your wheels are down and locked?
Mm-hmm.
The emergency stores jettison button is just to the left of that. I want you to press and hold down on that button, and you're going to hear a huge whomp.
Okay, I gotta figure out which button. Sorry, so the buttons are where again?
You see where the green wheel lights are on the left-hand panel?
Yes, yes. Oh yeah, emergency jettison stores.
It's got a big...
Oh, I'm bingo. I'm bingo fuel.
You are indeed. Are you still in Afterburner by any chance?
I wasn't, no.
Okay, no
It's
problem.
military power.
That's fine. Okay, don't worry about it. Just...
Okay, jettison.
Yep, jettison that. You're going to get another warning in a second. What the plane's informing you right now is, besides being bingo, you are also your plane is a lot lighter than it's currently configured to be. So
If I dropped anything off there, it doesn't seem like I did.
you'll know if you have. If you hold the button down, you'll hear a fairly obvious bang, which is good.
Oh, there we go.
There you go, and the button looks like it's broken all of a sudden.
Roger.
Yeah.
There they go. Whee!
Goodbye drop tanks, goodbye pylons, we don't need you anymore. The button, a couple of switches down and to the left there's a button that says stores config and it'll say cat 1 or cat 3.
Roger.
Set it to the cat 1 position.
Done.
What you've just done is you've given the plane full control authority to the rudder and the ailerons, because in cat 3, where you have stuff on the wings, it limits you so that you don't wreck the wings and pull crazy stupid maneuvers. So the what you've just learned there is that the flight control system actually hands you only as much control as is stable.
Okay.
Now, last bit of fun, you're still in air to ground mode, and you've got the SMS page lit up. See the button that says AG on the top left and the upper left side?
On the front keyboard thing?
On the SMS.
What's that?
The stores management system, the one that you were playing around with so you could see how many bombs you had and stuff.
It
It says
which one
A-G.
do you want
It
to
says
press?
A-G.
Yes.
Press it.
Okay.
Guess what you just called up?
Gun mode.
Yeah. We're going to strafe the target once, and then we're going to head home. Okay. So line yourself up with steer 5. Use the steer point reference marker, the little diamond. That'll help you find it.
Roger.
So follow the steer point 5 marker.
I got a fuel warning on my screen.
You will do, of course you will, because you're at bingo. But don't worry, we're not that fussed about that, because there is an airfield nearby.
Okay.
I'll take you to it.
Okay, I'm coming round onto the next steer point here.
Okay, just make sure that your throttle isn't at afterburner.
Roger.
And basically, you are going to place the pipper on the target. And as you get closer to the target, you will see a ring around the top that will start counting down. Note the circle at the 4 o'clock position on that great big circle you've got called up at the moment. When you are under that circle, you are in effective guns range. Look how close you get. Squeeze off around and come off the target. Gentle pull.
Okay, so isn't the target, as I'm looking at my HUD right now, is the target indicated by a diamond?
Yes, that's steer 5.
Roger.
So that's the target area, because we haven't precisely set it onto a specific target. So just nominate something that you want to make go away in a ball of fiery doom.
Roger that.
Jammer.
Now you're going to be travelling fairly fast, so just don't get too target fixated, otherwise you will meet that target in a head-on collision.
Okay, here we go.
Have fun.
Oh, I'm dropping to 9,000 for altitude.
You are going to be coming in pretty hard and fast. Yep. It gives you an altitude shout out once you go below 10,000 feet, which is the default setting. It's just saying, hey, you're in a dive, just so you know.
I feel like a wannabe A10.
Yep, well that's basically what the symbology is very similar to, because they both came out about the symbology was invented around about the same time for each one.
Roger.
And basically as the circle unwinds, you're getting closer to the target. That small circle at the 4 o'clock position is the most effective area that you can fire on, and you're only going to fire a little squeeze of the round. You're not going to empty the whole mag at the guy.
Okay. So that little circle at the 4 o'clock isn't moving on the bigger circle, just so you
It's
know.
not. No, that's the best place for you to engage from, given your altitude and angle.
So how do I know when to fire?
Well, you'll see a second ring once you get really close, and it's going to count down from 12 o'clock all the way back counterclockwise down to the 4 o'clock position that's indicated there.
Oh, seen, roger.
Yep. Once
Okay,
that counts down, you're in effective range. Throw weapons on target and have fun. Alright, great work. Pull off the target.
Jammer.
Now let's get you back up to altitude and get you home. How about that?
Let's do it.
Jammer.
Alright, so... We're good, we're good. That's fine. So this is going to be
Bingo
fun.
fuel.
Yep, this is going to be fun for you. I need you to select steer point something. Steer point 1 we'll go with, which is the home steer point.
Steer point what, sorry?
Steer point 1. Go ahead and select steer point 1. We're going to ignore the rest of the flight plan and we're going to boogie on out of there straight home.
Roger.
Okay?
Jammer.
While you're at it, don't worry about formation necessarily if it's going to help. I want you to start getting real high. We're going to gradually aim for about 25 to 30,000 feet because your plane is a little bit more efficient at that altitude, and it means that if you do run out of fuel, you'll be able to glide a little.
Roger, I'm punching it now.
Don't punch it. Keep your fuel. Burning the afterburner is the temptation
Oh no,
you've
I'm
got.
not on the afterburner, just military.
Yeah, military's fine. And we're going to get to 20,000 feet or so, and then we're going to see if we can just hold the throttle back a little bit and just sip on fuel for a little while. And give you some power back. We're going to cruise, and Mavi is going to pull maneuvers.
Jammer.
Just practicing rejoin.
Yeah, quite right.
Where are you guys right now?
You are. Let's look at the HST and get it to tell us.
How do I change?
You're
my,
ahead of me, so that's fine.
Okay.
Don't worry about stay in formation right now, Matsimus. You are fuel critical, so at that point in time, the rules about formation kind of go out the window because the priority is to save the airframe and the pilot.
Roger. I am at 20,000 feet roughly right now, leveling off.
Continue climbing. I want you to get
Continue
up.
climbing?
Yep, I want you to get.
Okay.
You're nice and light now. You've got little to no fuel. You have little to no weapons, and you're gonna be able to get up to 30 to 35,000 feet very easily. Just do it gradually. 5,000 feet or 5 degrees up or something is fine. And I'm going to get you to press the air to ground button remember the air to ground master mode button on the on the upfront control the upfront controller. Yep.
Oh, yep.
Press that one more time, and it's going to change the button to nav on the HUD.
Yes.
See, it says nav in the bottom left corner of the heads-up display.
It doesn't say that.
Press
it.
it.
Says fuel 001.
Ah, right, yeah, that's still okay.
Oh, they were on nav. We're on nav now, yeah.
Yeah, okay. We're going to turn off the weapons so that we don't accidentally shoot anything. Not that it's possible in the nav mode, but just a right-click once on the master arm switch and it puts it back into the off position.
Roger.
And I want you to gently and gradually just continue to gain altitude, and just do it, but do so at a way that doesn't mean you're going to lose a lot of airspeed.
Roger.
Give me your airspeed as it is at the moment.
I'm at 225 and climbing very slowly.
Okay, that's fine. That's a good place to be. Okay. We're going to keep following the instructed flight path until we get to oversteer to within 30 miles of steer 1. And then we are not going to listen to the ATC in the slightest because it's going to give us a pattern to fly. You don't have the fuel for that. In fact, I want to find out how much fuel you do have. Do me a favour, and on the upfront controller, press the button that says 5. It's labelled Cruise, C-R-U-S.
Pressed.
It'll say, in the DED, just above your right-hand MFD, it'll say Cruise Home, home plate 1, Fuel, a number, and optimal altitude, wind, and the wind speed and the wind. Can you read out the fuel number?
Negative. I've got none of those details you have. I'm still at STPT.
Okay. On the upfront controller, press the number 5.
And then enter?
Just press 5. That's all you need to press.
I press 5, nothing's happening.
Okay, press the return key on the upfront controller.
There we go, okay.
Now
press 5?
Now press 5.
Okay, here we go. Cruise. So system 100408, counting down.
So it says cruise home.
Negative, doesn't say home.
What does it say?
It says cruise TOS 1.
Okay, press 5 again. And keep pressing it until it says cruise home.
Yeah, got it. Okay, so fuel, 138 pounds.
That's good.
Optional altitude is 37,000 feet. Wind is 108 degrees at 4 knots.
Okay, so get to 37,000 feet to begin with.
Roger that.
What you've just been given is the optimum altitude to allow you to get home with 100
Safely.
to get home safely with as much fuel in the tank as you just read out.
Roger. I'm still at military power. Should I keep it at military?
At that altitude, you probably should until your wings level. Once your wings
Get
level,
master caution.
yeah, you will be because your fuel's probably getting a bit annoyed.
Right. I do have an avionics fault too, which I haven't corrected yet, so I'm not too sure.
You can't correct it because it's
Oh.
what's your how much? Remember how we told you how to find how many G's you pulled in the plane?
I'm not telling you how many G's I pulled last because I'm
Well,
going to get in trouble.
You're not gonna get in trouble. I ain't gonna yell at you.
6.4.
Oh, dude, I pulled 8.7. Don't worry about it.
Oh, there you go.
We've both probably code 2'd the bird. The two cruise ships are going to yell their asses off at us.
Okay, I'm dropping speed quite substantially now, but I'm at 38,000 feet, so I'm happy with.
Okay,
altitude
go wings
right
level.
now.
Go wings level,
Okay.
and keep the aircraft at that altitude if at all possible. If it doesn't look like that's going to happen, just put yourself in a gentle dive, like a couple of degrees of dive.
Roger.
Okay. If you feel that if the plane's still accelerating, that's fine, because that means you're going to get home faster without burning any more fuel than you currently have. And basically, that fuel at home number,
Yeah.
that is how much fuel you should have when you touch on steer point 1. But we still want a little bit of fuel in the bank for getting your landing done. So let me know if that fuel marker is going down, or if it's going up, or if it's staying about the same as we travel. Okay.
Staying pretty similar. It's kind of like, on my
It'll-
truck, it gives me fuel mileage to the gallon.
That's
kind of
exactly the same idea.
Yeah.
So, for example, I did not spend a lot of time in the burner, and I've got 2,600 pounds and holding roughly. And
I'm
what
at 800.
800? Well, you were on 100 before, remember? So look
I
at
was on,
remember it said fuel at
oh,
home.
no,
one.
I'm looking at my full gauge.
Oh, your full gauge, right? Yeah. So you got 800 pounds of fuel in the tank. I've
Roger.
got 3,400 pounds. Mavi, how are you for fuel actually? Mavi?
Sorry, Mike Boone. I was talking to someone else. Sorry, yeah. 2's at 1.8.
That's fine. 1.8. That's good. So, what will usually happen during a checkout or a fence out procedure is we will all establish in the flight who's got the lowest amount of fuel, because that person will be landing first. Matsimus, that is most certainly you today. Congratulations.
Thank you.
We are. What's your distance to the home plate?
Right now it says 91 miles.
Sounds like a lot, but you're going to eat those miles up. What's your ETA?
ETA 10 minutes, 15 seconds.
That sounds about right.
It took us 10 minutes to get to that objective.
Yeah, that's 10 minutes of
Holy
me.
cow,
That was 10
time
minutes.
flies.
That's 10 minutes of me
Yeah.
talking to you.
Wow. I didn't know we were that far away.
Yeah, I'm not going to alarm you right now, but you are a serious fuel emergency.
Yeah, especially with 700 pounds left. Try and get
This
the fuel
isn't
flow
modelled in
into it.
BMS, but I've read a book by Dan Hampton called Viper Pilot, and he would say that if you were on less than if your fuel at home was less than 500 pounds, you would probably be reviewing your ejection procedures, because the plane can sometimes flame out and gurgle a little bit when there's that little fuel in the tank. In much the same way that when you're running on fumes in on a car, you start worrying about if your engine is level so that the gas tank kind of empties properly.
It's a problem with the engine. It's fuel efficient.
You are about to test that theory, my good man.
Oh, yeah. If I can land this, I'll be happy. I'll be like, I landed a bingo jet.
The good news is that when you dive to the ground to get your plane down, you are going to be throttle idle, which means you'll probably gain about 100 pounds of fuel at home on the plate.
Roger.
So if we are very smart with how we get you down the ground, and you don't use your air brakes to decelerate, you'll have a fair bit of extra speed and a fair bit of extra energy from the dive with which to work with. So in an ideal planet, we're not going to have you use your speed brakes at all.
Roger.
That's a good point, actually. Can you just check that your speed brakes aren't on? Because you've used a lot more fuel than I was expecting you to.
Negative, I shouldn't have. Let me just check here.
Speed brake set should say closed, hopefully.
Speed brake, yeah, closed.
Okay, that's fine.
Closed.
I've seen that happen before, where you've nudged a button on the keyboard or whatever, and you've inadvertently turned your brakes on, which means your engine's fighting twice the drag, and you'll burn like hell to try and keep speed.
Okay, it doesn't help that I'm not staying on track, on course to my waypoint.
Small inputs, gentle inputs, and
there we go.
what's your airspeed as well, by the way?
Airspeed right now is 281, slow decline,
Slow
at
decline.
37,000, 36,000, and dropping very slow. I'm going to try and
That's
level
fine.
out a little bit.
No, that's fine. You've got plenty of mileage if you want to keep that. That's no big deal.
Roger. I gotta land this baby. If I can land this jet.
You can land this. You
I
know how
hope
you
so.
Yeah.
you know how to land. I've seen you. I saw your landing.
Yeah,
You did
only
fine.
just with air traffic control giving me guidance
No,
all the way
we're
along.
no. You're not getting guidance from air traffic control
I
because
know, that's the thing.
air traffic control is going to tell you to hold in orbit for spacing. Okay, you are not doing that. What you are literally going to do is once we get in range of the tower, you are going to press T and declare an emergency, and the ATC will let you do whatever the buggering hell that you want to get the plane on the ground. You can pick it. They'll tell you which airfield. All they'll tell you is which airfield to land, which airfield to land on, and that's only in the case where there's multiple airfields. And even then, if you ignore that, they're not going to yell at you because you have a fuel emergency.
Now, when I jettison my pods and such,
Yes,
is there the ability to jettison the missiles, or are they clipped in place and can only come off rails?
they are. They're going to stay in place because basically the logic on the game. Well, not the game logic, the FLCS logic is smart enough to understand that the reason why you would typically press the emergency stores button is not to get rid of all your bombs and stuff like that because you're a fuel critical person. It's actually so that... Alright, when we were fully loaded with 2 drop tanks and and all the bombs, you were kind of hard. It was hard for you to pull around Gs and maneuver, right?
Mm-hmm.
The first thing you're going to want to do if you get jumped by a pair of MiGs 20 miles out behind you is get rid of the bombs and turn around and fight.
Okay.
You do not want an emergency jettison button that gets rid of your ability to fight and maneuver.
Okay.
So what they did is they said you can keep your your external pylons, your 2 outside weapons and your 2 wingtip weapons, because those are typically reserved for air-to-air weaponry. So the idea is oh shit, we're dumped by MiGs. Well, the mission's a scrub. We're going to drop the bombs. We're going to jettison the drop tanks. We're going to switch to the category 1 thing that I just told you to do, and we're going to turn and fight those guys and survive.
Roger.
And then at that point in time, well, the mission's scrubbed, so we may as well fly home, right?
Roger. I'm at 32,000 feet at 304 speed. I'm trying to level out, but don't want to drop too fast here.
No, that's fine. Take the level. That's a good speed and that's a good altitude to be at. Keep an eye on that fuel at home plate. Just keep and try your best to manage that as best you can. Speed isn't critical here. Getting home is.
Roger.
Shut up, Betty. I'll tell you when I'm bingo.
You get the same problem, Avi.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be due for that in about 5 or 10 minutes beyond you guys. Mavi, did you burn to catch up with us or something?
Yeah, when I had that little trim emergency on takeoff, and believe me, it was a nail-biting thing. I was locked in complete left yaw when I was rotating.
Oh god!
Yeah.
Mistakes were made.
Yeah, mistakes were seriously made. But luckily I caught it just about, but oh man, it was a touch-and-go thing.
Yeah.
Jammer.
See, I'm not used to. I've set my yaw to a rotary on the X55 here.
Right.
It's like a little knob on the throttle.
Oh no! I see where this is going. And you obviously had that set full one direction or the other, which means as soon as the game went in game, it went, "Oh, you want a right yaw? No problem."
Yeah, here you go.
Maximum right yaw. Go for it.
I've got to get myself a new joystick. When I can eventually afford track IR and a joystick, I will definitely be doing so.
If I'm being honest with you, your joystick isn't bad. If you feel that you can get by with the joystick, I would take track IR first. If you really are hating the joystick, get the joystick, then get track IR.
I'd love to get an X55, and my dream world, let's be honest, I'd love to have a Warthog, but
well,
that's a ridiculous amount of money.
Matsimus, you and I have this thing called a family and a life and other things besides ourselves to spend the money on. I'm sure Mavi has the same situation. I don't have an X55. I have an X52, which people who fly sims a lot will know that's a pretty old joystick compared to what's currently out there. But you know what?
Still very good though.
You know what? It works. Yeah. You know what? It works. I'm happy with it. And fun fact, it hasn't broken ever, and I got it second hand from Amazon for £70, which people who keep an eye on that will know is ridiculously cheap.
That is cheap. Yeah, I will one day get myself a nice upgraded joystick slash.
I tell you what, Matsimus, if we're not going to pay attention to the tower,
Roger.
Let's look out your right wing. Tell me if you can see any airfields nearby.
Roger, I got an airfield to my 5 o'clock.
Go ahead and turn and land on that.
Roger that.
We don't have to worry about traffic. We are the only traffic in the world. What I'd normally tell you to do right now is figure out which airfield that is and tune into the tower frequency, but we're not going to bother with that. We're just going to get home now. So,
Roger that.
You're pretty high up. When you go to dive down, I would recommend you take the throttle idle.
Roger.
And just be mindful of your airspeed as you take the dive. If you're taking on too much speed, just put yourself in like a corkscrew turn and spiral down. And that should help out. You don't want to be using your speed brakes because if you go too slow, you're going to have to put on extra power, which you don't have a lot of if you've got fuel problems.
Roger. I'm going to take a nice slow turn here as I come
Yeah,
down.
take your time. Just focus on giving yourself a nice, decent-sized lineup because chances are you're only going to get one, maybe two approaches on this in terms of your fuel. Because when you start going down into the thicker air, your engine needs to consume more fuel to keep the power the same. So.
Okay, guys, prepare for me to slam into the ground here because this is going to be interesting.
It's alright.
You can do it, buddy.
Emergency landing.
Just which airbase have you nominated? Is it the one in the middle of the great big town? With the two airstrips?
Yeah.
Yep, I see where you're going.
With all the civilians around that, I'm going to slam a nice, $16 million jet or whatever it is into the hard deck.
Hey, if you want to be the leading distributor of Pratt & Whitney parts in the South Korean area, you just go right on ahead, okay? That's no problem. That's a nice thing about Sims. You get to make these mistakes more than once. If it's easier for your lineup, there is an airport... You're good. Okay,
I'm
cool.
pretty good.
That's fine.
Just going to put a little bit of power on here. Steady cruise at about 330 if I can. Try and get enough speed out of her.
Just bear in mind, your gear can't. You don't want to pull your gear down below above 250 knots. Okay.
Roger that.
So, you're obviously not configured with anything like distances or steer points to get yourself a reference. So you're going to have to kind of guesstimate based on your own knowledge and how far away you are. But
Roger.
Just give yourself a decent approach, easy on the throttle. Once the speed drops down below 250 knots, and if you want, pull the throttle in to do that.
Roger.
Get your gear out, and the flaps will automatically deploy for you. You'll get a little bit of lift out of that. And ideally, you don't want to be throwing the throttle up and down like a fiddler's elbow. Just gentle inputs for pitch, for roll, and for throttle. Nice and easy on the throttle, you'll be fine.
Getting another master caution, I can almost guarantee that's going to be my fuel.
That's going to be your...
£400.
Yep. Once you go below £400, it starts really screaming at you. Like, why are you still flying? Come on.
I can ask myself the same question here. Okay,
because it's
coming in nice and steady.
Good stuff. Continue on in. What's your airspeed?
300 right now, roughly.
Okay. And I think I see you actually.
Okay, I'm dropping it deck a bit more now, dropping down to about 290, coming off the throttle completely.
Yep.
Plenty of lineup run-up time here.
Yep, if you're comfortable with your lineup and you think you need to slow down a little bit more to get the gear down, consider just tapping the brakes out for a moment. But just bear in mind, you don't want to be throwing the throttle on millions of tons, so pull the boards back in as soon as you're quite happy with your airspeed being where it is. And expect to make a...
right now.
Yep.
Okay, I might slap the brakes on any minute here.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm going to put them on now.
Okay. Once you go below 250 knots, get the gear down. And expect a slight pitch down when you do that.
Roger, I'm just waiting for him to lock in place.
Oh, that's late, man. Nice. Okay, get the wheels down.
I'm down.
Nice.
Brake.
All the brakes, more brakes.
Holy camoly. Whew.
Alright, I'm going to take the same approach. I'm inbound for the same airfield as you.
Ensure my throttle's off completely before I start burning up my ABS.
Yeah.
Okay, drop it right down. Come on, baby. Slow down. There we go.
I'm going to circle around and come in behind.
Good stuff, Mavi. Go for it.
Beautiful. Okay.
I just looked out my window and saw those two airfields. I was like, why am I flying all the way to home base and risking a fuel emergency?
Jammer.
This traffic control tower's probably like, what the fuck are you doing here?
Shut up, we're landing.
Yeah.
Did you see what happened to the last guy that disagreed? Did you see what happened to the last guy that disagreed with me in the live stream last night? Shut up. Stupidity will not be tolerated here.
Someone on my streams is it Evil Red Dog. He's like, Jesus, you're supposed to have your gear down at least 4 nautical miles away from the airfield. Mine go down like the last 200 feet.
Yeah, because if you're gonna do so, hey, you weren't taught that. That's fine.
It was an emergency. It's like Memphis Belle trying to get the hand crank to land your gear down.
Like your
to the very last millisecond.
Hey, if you're gonna do it, why not, right?
Exactly.
When the worst comes to the worst, you can belly flop. You can belly flop this thing. Have you seen the size of the engine intake? It's totally good for that.
And like I said, it's a Pratt & Whitney engine, so I just see some.
Pratt & Whitney strong.
Yeah, exactly. Who's just come in? Was that you, Dog?
That's me. I'm coming in a little hot there. Mavi's on final. Mavi's on final.
I see him coming in. Oh, look at that beautiful landing. Gears are down at the correct time.
Anytime where you're not crossing the threshold is the right time.
Beautiful.
To be perfectly fair, it doesn't really matter when the gear's down as long as you're happy that it's down in time. The reason why people tell you to put the gear down 4 miles on approach is to make sure you don't forget at the last minute.
Mm-hmm.
And it gives you time to check that they're all down and locked, but you wouldn't have had that time anyway because going around probably wasn't much of an option for you.
Pretty much.
Nice landing there, Mavi.
Thank you.
And there you have it, Matsimus. You today figured out a little bit about how to control the FCR. You figured a little bit about how to navigate using the steer points and dropped some bombs in both CCIP and CCRP. You learned you learned very briefly some stuff you can do with the store's management system to configure how many bombs get dropped at once and in what combination. Mm-hmm. And you played a little bit with the guns as well. I'd call that a productive day at the office.
I would say so.
Now, is there anything there that didn't make any sense to you, or anything that I didn't quite cover right for you?
Not really. I mean, I understand the basic principle. I mean, I used to play the United States Air Force game made by Janes, and I know the basic principles of dropping munitions and how to get the pickle on target and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
It's just trying to remember which buttons go where on the MFDs, which, key combinations I need to go for and all that good stuff.
Yeah, so. Exactly. And I honestly, I don't go into the assumption that you know how to do all this stuff from a previous game, because there are differences in the symbology, there's differences in how it's done, and obviously that's an older game, so it might have been a while ago.
Right. I want to see how much fuel I get once I park up in the taxi.
You probably don't want to look at that. Like the crew chief's looking at the bottom of the fuel tank and goes, "That it?"
Yeah.
Like officially, the F-16 is not rated for stable and sustained flight below 500 pounds of fuel. Flameouts are a distinct possibility because, like I said, if you turn the plane a certain direction or another, the fuel could momentarily pop out of the area of the fuel tank where it's collected in the reservoir. And there's that little amount of fuel in there. So I'm just going to park this lady up here. We're parking. God.
Okay, so to spool my engine down, how do I spool it down again?
Throttle idle.
Yep.
So Alt and I to get the idle detent done.
Roger.
Make sure you put the chocks in before you lose power, otherwise you won't be able to tell anyone on the radio you want your chocks.
Chocks in place.
Excellent. Now your plane won't drift around anywhere like it did last night. And we'll just shut all the other things down.
Well, that was fun. I got some munitions on the ground and learned how to land with landing gears at the last minute.
Hey, if you're going to learn to do things, you may as well learn what went wrong as well, because you learn to work on these things later. So what I should have done, to be honest, is I should have been a little bit more cognizant of your fuel, and I should have been a little bit more aware of you burning through your fuel. I just kind of it's a very easy thing for people who are not experienced with this to forget that you, as a flight lead, usually burn a lot less fuel than everyone else because they're spending fuel keeping up with you.
Roger.
So that's something I'll work on myself. But I'm just glad you had fun tonight, and I'm glad you learned a few. And I'm glad you learned a few things, because if you learned a few things, then that's the important thing.
Yeah, I definitely learned a lot for sure. It's definitely interesting. It's the only thing that's difficult for me is trying to figure out, which buttons do what on where, and the key, and trying to get the key bindings too. Trying to make sure I get the correct button pressed at the right time, because especially with this joystick, it's difficult for sure. Yeah,
there's not a lot of buttons for you to play with in the first place, so you have to be very clever with the buttons that you're pressing and binding to your keyboard. You really have to prioritize them, because the real F-16, like I said, it's got like 3 coolie hats on the right hand stick, and there's another coolie hat, a couple of coolie hats technically, on the throttle, plus the throttle and some other buttons. So you're going from about 30-40 buttons to 12, and there's obviously some prioritization that's going to have to go there, where you're going to have to go, okay, I'll just press the button that's bound for the keyboard, and instead.
Roger.
But these buttons that I've given you, the TMS up, the TMS down, the DMS down, and the nose wheel steering, pickle, and gun trigger, I consider basic bare bones. If you don't have those on a key on your joystick, you're going to have a bad time, basically, because you're going to be spending more time juggling the keyboard than the actual throttle, and that's the whole point of that system. That's the whole point of having those buttons there. Just out of interest, roughly how many buttons do you have left?
Shit.
I count that you've used 8.
Yeah, I've used quite a few. I mean, total buttons 4, 5, 6. See, I don't even know if some of the buttons are even registering on, because I know certain things aren't registering in the game.
Right, okay.
On my joystick, which
fantastic. So would you say you're pretty much at your maximum loadout of what buttons you can reasonably attach to the game?
I would say close to it. Sure, I've probably got like 3 or 4 left if I can find ones that are still allowed to be mapped on the game. So.
Okay, that's fine. That's not a big deal. 3 or 4 is okay, because later on, when we do figure out how to get IVC buttons working, 2 buttons that you'll want, at least, well, a minimum of 1, and ideally 2 buttons that you'll want bound are for talking on the UHF and VHF mic. And another button that would probably be nice for you to have to hand quickly is your gear button, to drop the gear down fast.
Yeah.
But those are bonuses. So we'll come back to that another time. We'll add some more buttons to your loadout. And the next time you do a range mission like this, we'll probably put some real bombs on the rail. Because you'll have to be aware of how low you can go when you drop real bombs, so that you don't fly into the fragmentation pattern of your own bombs. Because that is a thing if you drop stupid low.
Sorry, I just ejected out of the set.
That'll do.
That's
you're,
one way to do it.
That's one way of ending the mission.
it's even more
On a positive note.
It's even more funnier if you think about the fact that you could possibly have done that inside the hardened shelter.
Oh, that's funny.
I remember an old game called TFX where if you ejected the pilot and it collided with something before the parachute deployed, you got a nice pretty red DOS style smear all over the ground, for example. So one of the fun things I would do is being my typical 10-year-old self would be roll inverted 20 feet off the ground and eject into the ground and just kill the pilot instantly. Just because it was too hilarious not to. Anyway, I'm pulling the server down, so if your game crashes, I'm terribly sorry.
Roger. No, I'd already ejected, so.
And thank you very much for all the people watching my live stream and Matsimus's.
Yes, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for watching mine. They're still popping in some questions. Someone's asking me how I get steel beasts, so I should probably answer that.
I'll let you answer that. I'm going to quickly check my own chat log and just see if anyone's got any crazy questions for me. I haven't been monitoring the chat log, guys, so if you've been chatting and leaving questions for me on the chat log right now, terribly sorry. And there we go. So I'm now monitoring the chat so I can actually read anything that people are saying now. And unless it's anything ridiculously silly, I don't think it'll be a problem saying hello to some people. I can't see who's in the channel, so if you want to say hi, this is your chance.
Okay, I guess I should explain to Atakan. Do you mind if I talk in here, buddy? Or do you
No,
want me to
go for it, man. Go for it, man.
Okay, so Atakan, to get SteelBeast Pro, you need to go to a website called esimgames.com, and you will be able to either download the game by a full version, which is about $130, and you will be given or sent in the mail potentially either a disc or a USB, whichever you choose. You can buy a hard copy, and with the USB stick, you need to use that as your license key. You cannot play the game without a license key. Now, you can buy monthly subscriptions for the game. I think it's roughly $10 a month. Is it, Ghost?
It's
something like
the official price is $14.99. Depending on your local exchange rate, that doesn't work out too badly for most people.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the best way to go about doing it if you want to do it sort of monthly. Personally, I would just go for the yearly subscription because it's just, in my opinion, a waste of money subscribing to a game. You know, you're only going to be able to play for a year until it hasn't paid for itself. So
yeah, yeah. I mean, I went for the USB option myself, the little USB stick, and that means that the next time I have to pay for Steel Beasts is the next major mode upgrade that they go. So from version 4 to version 5, I'll get all my upgrades between now and then, and I'll only have to pay $40 for that. It was a bit of a no-brainer for me because I actually bought Steel Beasts 3. And then, jammy bastard that I am, won in a competition my Steel Beast 4 upgrade. I just read the release notes and they said, hey, leave an email at this address, and if you are the 8th, 16th or 12th person, you'll get a free copy. And I was like, why not? Congratulations, you won, you got 12th place. Fine.
That's funny. I don't know what I should play now, if I should continue going stream.
I have a window tonight. I have a little bit more time. We can do something that isn't flying because it's a little it can be a little draining, especially when you're new to do lots and lots of flying. We could do something a little bit plainer. We can do some Steel Beasts. We could do Wargame. I don't have a problem
Abby,
with Wargame.
what do you have?
Steel Beasts, Arma, Wargame. Yeah.
Wargame could be hilariously bad. A hilariously good shout.
Let's see if we can get some more people joining in. Anyone who's watching the streams, do you want to fire in what you'd like to play or what you have, and then we can maybe go from there, play a quick half-an-hour game or so. I can't play for too much longer, unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, I'm monitoring my stream for that as well, guys. So if I'll keep an eye on my on my job offers here, and we'll keep an eye, and Matsimus can keep an eye on his, see who gets some feedback. Danny Johnson said he got his X52 working, and he had a whole lot of soldering cold solder joints and replacing wires to get it done. And man, if you are that dedicated to getting your X52 working, more power to you, man. I have none of the dexterity to try to try anything like soldering. I'd probably do more harm than I did good if I tried that. So well done.
I don't have War Thunder, unfortunately, ladies and gents, because I can't. I like the game principle. I just can't. I'm not a sit and wait in a queue kind of guy. If I want to play, I just want to play and not queue up for it. But maybe in the future I'll play it. You never know.
And I personally, I hate War Thunder with a passion.
How come?
I'm not a fan of World War II in the first place. World War II has been done to death as a sim, and when you go from BMS level flight sim to War Thunder, it's like going from decent simulator to arcade game.
Oh yeah.
And I have to say, if you are a big fan of War Thunder and you start playing really heavily into your flight sims, War Thunder will become less and less appealing to you.
We could play a really cheap, easy, nasty game called Dropship Down. I don't know if you guys have watched it on my channel before.
I honestly
have
haven't seen that.
Keys for it.
I haven't
got
seen
free
that.
license keys for it. The developer sent me a message and he's like, "Hey, can you try this game out for me?" I'm like, sure. And he gave me like 6 keys, and I gave a couple to my buddies and like 4 others that I haven't issued out yet. So
Is it a Steam key?
Yeah, it's a Steam key.
Okay, let me throw the stream down so that you can pass me the Steam key without giving it out to everyone else. And yeah, we'll have a laugh with that. Why not, guys? I'll be right back.
I just gotta find it now. Give me a sec here.